Why does no one understand what's going on in your mind as an alcoholic? This is something that plagued me when I was drinking really heavy back in the day, where I felt like no one understood what I was going through and no one could help me. And this was a really, really disturbing feeling because I felt all alone on a planet, isolated with a problem no one understood. Sure, everyone told me, oh, just get sober, just stop drinking, just knock it off or drink less. And they told me everything, and it seemed like everyone came out of the woodworks with the advice of a lifetime that was supposed to help me. But there was one problem. These people never went through what I went through. They never understood the hell that lies in the alcoholic's brain, the hell of thoughts that we go through as alcoholics and active drinkers, the hell that the OCD and ruminating thoughts and overwhelming guilt that comes with being an alcoholic. They simply think that, he's just kind of lazy, or he just wants to drink, or, he just likes to drink and can't handle his liquor. That's not at all the case, and we're going to talk about that today because there's a little issue called chemical dependency, and since this is a chemical, it is something that's altering our mind. So the thoughts that you have, the thoughts that are going on in your brain, while everyone might not be able to understand them, I think Terry and I have a pretty good grasp on what's going on, and I think you'll find throughout this training or call or whatever it is that we get it. We understand where you're at. And one of the things that really stuck out to me in sobriety is someone came to me and said, you know what, Marcus? You don't have to feel this way anymore. So welcome to Talk Sober. If you're new here, subscribe and click the bell so you can get other videos on how to get and stay sober. Check out our website over at talksober.com where you can join our 30-day recovery challenge there. And today, let's dive into the topic. So Terry, what was it like for you when you were drinking? I know for me, it was like a living hell and no one understood me. What was it like for you?
Well, it's kind of the same thing in its own little way. Definitely. Let me say good morning to the people that commented so far. One Mama Lisa 713. Good morning, THC. Good to see you again. Ben, good to see you. Derek, Donna, thank you for the comments. Appreciate that. June, Buck, and we got, did I miss anybody? Yvonne. Awesome. Good to see you all here. Congrats on your sobriety. Rob, day 46. That's awesome, man. Good job. One day is awesome. So good job, everybody. The insanity was a big reason why people didn't understand me. I was basically insane. Alcoholic insanity is what I'd call it. And people don't understand that because we do things that a normal person wouldn't do. It's in our basic instinct to survive, yet as an alcoholic, we'll drink even though we know it's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt us in the long run, and that just goes against our nature, and that's the insanity, some of the insanity of alcoholism. A lot of people that are not alcoholics or don't know alcoholics or understand it, they think that it's just a lack of self-control. I've had several people tell me when I was drinking, why don't you just quit? And as an alcoholic, you just can't even begin to fathom to explain why I can't just quit. I mean, sure, they'd say that, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to quit. And then I'd quit for like an hour or two. And then I'd make that walk to the liquor store. If I had the booze, I'd drink it, That's the way it is. It's progressive too. So as we get deeper into our illness or disease, or a lot of non-alcoholics don't even think it's illness or a disease. As we get more into it, our cravings just get stronger. This is a mental disease. It manifests itself physically in many ways, but also mentally. But it's when you cross that imaginary line, where it's a very blurred line in most cases, into alcoholism, your mind changes, and the signals your mind is sending off are different. And it's just that it causes us to do things that we wouldn't normally do. And we get these negative consequences, and we continue to drink. And then we get more negative consequences, and we continue to drink even more, thinking that that's going to solve it, or maybe it'll just push down those emotions that we're feeling, or whatever. Or maybe we just like to drink. That was the case for me. most of the time was it just I like to drink. Eventually, those consequences caught up to me. But, a lot of it was just made me feel good. That's it. It was that simple.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop once I started. I could probably go for a few hours in the morning, maybe. Not usually, but maybe. But get that drink in me, then there's no stopping me at all. Nothing.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it, too, is the misconception that a lot of people have about alcoholism and the alcoholic is that they're enjoying what they're doing. Right?
Right?
Like, alcohol did feel good sometimes. Like, it worked for like an hour until I was completely drunk and I hated life. But I drank because I hated life. So it was like an endless cycle of just not liking life. And I remember many times I would just lay there in tears and I'd be like, I don't want to be alive anymore, but I'm too chicken shit to do anything about it. And by the way, if you ever feel like, you don't want to be alive anymore, you should probably definitely seek out help. Look at the suicide prevention lines and everything like that. Always seek out help. Probably the best thing you can do. It's the best thing I did, and that's probably why I'm here today, because someone sought out help for me. But the issue is that I wasn't enjoying my life. On a day-to-day basis, I felt like shit every day. I had ruminating thoughts and OCD and depression and guilt every day. And drinking seemed like it was the only thing that helped me, but it was actually making matters worse, and I didn't see that. And a lot of people will come to you and they'll talk to you about, their take on alcoholism. I once had an alcoholic grandpa or uncle or whatever it is, and they'll talk to you about their issue with alcoholism, but no one really understands what's going on in your mind. Now, I know what's going on because I know exactly what alcohol does to our minds. It can either make you angry, it can make you depressed, it can make you sad, it can make you have OCD thoughts, it can have you guilt, all kinds of things. And the problem is that we are being run on autopilot by alcohol. I would remember times where I would get up and I'd say to myself, I'm not drinking today, as I mindlessly drove to the liquor store and mindlessly picked up the stuff. I didn't even read the label. I don't know how much it costs. Couldn't tell you anything about it. It was almost as if there was someone pulling the strings, taking me in and getting me the alcohol. And it was me. And I didn't realize that alcohol turned off certain parts of my brain that made me unable to be aware of what was going on. And it made me unable to realize how far I had fallen. A lot of us look at it and we look at depression and we get into a cycle. Or we look at alcoholism and we get in a cycle. And we look at this as, there's no way out of this. But we can look at it and say, well, I wasn't always this way, so I'm not always going to be this way if I do something about it. And we need to really look at it from a mental perspective and a perspective outside of the alcoholism, because alcoholism makes you think you need more alcoholism, and it makes you feel, and it gives you cravings, and it makes you desire it. And all of a sudden, your thoughts become all about, how am I going to get the next drink? Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, well, that's not rational. Why don't you think of something else? And for us, it's like, it's not really that easy. I try and I try and I try and I can't get sober, and I don't know why, and I don't know what's going on, and everything's imploding around me, and it seems like nothing is going to help. But there is help if you look outside of it. You see, what happens is we tend to think that the answers are in the alcoholic brain of how to get out of alcoholism. They're not. They're not there. I would go to meetings and talks and all kinds of things when I was drinking, trying to get sober. I read books. I listened to tapes. I went through courses, spent a fortune trying to figure out how to stop drinking. But the problem is every bit of information, no matter how good it was going into a brain that was already tainted by alcohol. You guys all know what this is like. Alcohol messes with your brain. You can have a perfectly happy day. If you're the type of person that gets depressed when you drink and you're suddenly this blubbering, depressive mess. You have OCD, suddenly it's off the charts. You have anxiety, all of a sudden it's going nuts, and you're wondering why. I remember years and years I would sit there and say, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And never once did I say, well, I'm probably an alcoholic. I said, I got anxiety, or this happened when I was a kid, or it's a coexisting condition. It's something else that's going on. And I blamed everything but alcohol because at the back of my mind, I wanted to keep alcohol as an option, because for me, alcohol works sometimes. Sometimes, most of the time, it didn't work the way I wanted it because, I just wanted to go through and get a little bit of a buzz and forget about everything and feel a little happy at the end of the day. But it never ended up that way. I would always drink to calm down at the end of the day or deal with my issues. And a couple hours later, I would be completely drunk and I'd wake up the next day with a fog of a mind, a headache, felt like I had the flu, and OCD thoughts running through my mind. And I didn't know how to shut these off. I remember talking to therapists and I'm like, you don't understand what it's like. You don't get it. You can't just sit and meditate. You can't just sit and chill. Why? Because you're dealing with an alcoholic brain. Getting an alcoholic brain to sit still and meditate is like pulling teeth, like all the teeth at once, right? And we look at it and it's very, very difficult because we need to call a spade a spade. We need to look at it and say, this is what alcohol is doing to me. And I think when you look at the idea of drinkers like me, there are a lot of drinkers. Now, when I first started, I went to rehab. There was 30 people in rehab, and I wasn't like any of them. Those people are real drunks. They're real alcoholics. I'm a businessman. I got my shit together. I'm okay. Even when I met Terry, I was like, I'm not like Terry. You're walking around rehab, practically unaware of anything for a couple of days. I'm not like that. But you know what I found out? I'm exactly like Terry. I'm exactly like everyone in rehab. I am an addict. I'm an alcoholic. That is the common bond that brings us together. We know what it's like. We understand the inner workings of each other. Now, other people don't. My dad dealt with my alcoholic grandma for 65 years before she got sober, dealt with my grandpa, who was an alcoholic and bootlegger, dealt with lots of alcoholics and addicts. 3 of his kids are actually, I think all 4 of us at one point have struggled with alcoholism or addiction. And he's dealt with us. But never once was he able to understand it because he's never been there before. He doesn't know what it's like. He tells us, hey, just put it down. Just do this. Just do that. But he doesn't understand what it's like. And because of that, he can't really understand how to help. And the best place I can tell you to get help for alcoholism is listening to the words of another alcoholic. Put your pride down and say, I'm willing to listen to it. I might not be like this Marcus guy. I might not be like this Terry guy. But you know what? Maybe I am. And I remember when I was in the mental hospital, the day that I was going to take my own life. And again, my pride, I said, I'm not like these people. There's a lady over there that is like watching Jeopardy, and she doesn't even see it. Like, you could visually see that she's looking through the TV, clenching a pillow. There's a lady outside talking to every blade of grass. Marcus, you're not like this. You built a successful business. You've got a beautiful family. You got a house. Like, these people just came off the street. You're not like them. And then a little voice in my head said, you know what, Marcus? You're exactly like them. You're exactly like them. This is exactly where you belong. And I had to let go of my pride and understand it was the alcohol.
Yes, indeed. Narcissist, it's okay, man. Marcus can talk. He's a good talker. No worries. Narcissist, I saw your post earlier. I'm sorry you're having some troubles there, man. It's tough. I don't know if it's you get off work and you're trying to unwind. You had a tough day, you had a good day, whatever, or you just want to have that drink. This stuff's tough, man. It's tough to quit. But I'm glad you're here. That means that's one of the reasons that means you want to quit, I hope. So keep it up, man. And it's okay. You can comment all you want. No worries, man. Appreciate it. One mama did one of her comments. I'm just going a little bit off what we were talking about, but I just did want to point out you had 23 years and then you relapsed, but you got a year and 5 months. That's incredible. And for the rest of you, that's what I see. I've seen it many times where people get time and they think or something happens in their life and they start drinking again and they find it really difficult to get back. I have a friend of mine. He had like 17 years and he started drinking. Then he had 4 years and he started drinking. Then he had 6 months. Then he had 2 months. Then he had 1 month. Now he's lucky if he gets 2 weeks at a time. He really wants to quit. And this stuff's tough, man. You really have to want to quit, first of all. And that means changing everything that you do or everything you think about. And that's the hard part. Marcus has been alluding a lot to our thoughts. And that's what we have to try to change. That's what we try to do here, is get you guys to think a little bit differently about your life and how you approach life and the drink and all that. I mean, I was that way. I thought completely differently. Thought alcohol was the answer for everything, and I used it that way. And it was not. It was the cause. It's amazing for any of you that are having trouble stopping right now. For me, when I stopped, things instantly started to get better. Did life become all roses and all that right away? No. But the amount that stuff got better immediately, it was huge. It was amazing. And that put me on the path to working and doing whatever I could to stay sober. And that's what helped me a lot. But, you know, but the non-alcoholics in my life, they didn't understand. They didn't understand what I was going through. It's funny, every once in a while I'll get somebody that says, so are you still going to those AA things, or are you still going to meetings or doing the sobriety thing? Like, yeah, I am. It's what I do. I mean, alcohol was part of my life for 37 years. So I got a lot to do to get that out of my life and keep it out of my life. So, yeah, this is tough stuff. We got lots of comments. That's awesome.
Let's see here. A couple of comments. Anything stand out to you?
Well, I was just talking, so I wasn't reading. But
Let's take a
there
look
was a couple. Go
Let's
ahead.
take a look at Lisa real quick. She says, I literally thought at age 53 I could control myself, and it went down fast. I went through shame on me drinking because my mom died. It was destruction quick. Thank you guys for these lives. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, oftentimes when we get a certain amount of time in our sobriety, we feel like we're okay, and we let go on the things that we do to stay sober because, it seems like we got this handled. But the fact of the matter is we don't really know if we have it handled until something comes up. And if we're not out there actively fighting our addiction, actively learning new ways to live, then we're going to succumb to everything, right? Like, I have to learn new ways to deal with things because my coping mechanism for everything in life was alcohol, right? You get a bad thing at the job, alcohol. Someone dies, alcohol. You got to deal with anxiety, alcohol. And I dealt with everything, and this became my go-to method, and my brain said, hey, you know what? This method seems to be working. It's completely fucking up your life and making everything terrible, but it seems to be working. We don't have anything better. So the idea of sobriety is you got to find something better. What is it you're going to do when things happen? Like Lisa, she was sober for a long time. Her mom died, and then she went back out. And what's the reason for that? Well, the reason is she wasn't actively looking for a solution of what would happen when very bad things happen in life. She didn't have a life philosophy that was able to withstand these things. And we talk about life philosophy a lot. And what it is your basic idea of life, right? If I think that someone passing away means it's the end of an era for me, or I have this great loss, or whatever it is, that's going to change the way I think about it. But instead, one of my life philosophies, and this is mine, you can get your own, is that I look at it as, I got that person. I got that person. Just recently, last year, almost exactly a year ago, we lost someone very dear to us. And my life philosophy, I sat there teary-eyed, and you can watch the video here. It was about a year ago. And I reminisced on the fact that I got that person in my life rather than I lost that person. Oftentimes in life, we look at what we're losing rather than what we gained. I mean, I had 20 years with this person, 20 good years. Got to know them, got to understand them. They watched me go through things. And I look at that as a plus. But the problem in life is that if 100 people come up to you and say something good about you, and 2 people say something negative, guess what you're going to dwell on?
Yep.
The two people who said something negative. Right? They could be total jerks and they could say negative things about everything. But the fact of the matter is that that's what we're going to dwell on. And when someone passes away, we dwell on the loss rather than the gain. And if we look at it, that person invested 20 years of their life into me. It doesn't go anywhere. That's not gone. Might not be here physically. I don't know where they're at. Maybe they're a cloud or something. I don't know how that works. But the fact of the matter is all that they invested is all still there. And when we change our life philosophy, we begin to realize that we don't have to drink. Or what is it that I cling to in life? Some people are looking at this pandemic issue, and they look at it as, hey, this happened to me. This is happening to me, my business, this. And I realize things can be tough, but you're still here. You're still okay. We work it through it. We survive it. And I always tell myself, I survived alcoholism, a mental hospital, and a suicide attempt. I think I'm going to be okay with a lot of other things. I mean, that kind of tops the cake for my life. And a lot of alcoholics, we have things that top the cake as well. Terry, what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. It's tough, the thought process. I have a friend, wait, let me back up. Sorry, my mind's going two different directions. I lost my mom like a year and a half ago, lost my dog 3 weeks ago, and what we've been talking about here about the loss and stuff, I use that for both of them. And even for my dog, I miss him dearly, of course, but I had a great dog for 14 and a half years, or 14 years. But, and that's what I look at. I look at the positives, and nowadays I got lots of videos to look at and stuff, and they still tear me up and all that, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay, but still I've learned to deal with it, and that's the difference. Back before, when I've lost previous dogs, I hadn't really lost people when I was drinking in the height of my alcoholism, but I'd lost a couple of dogs, and that was just, I'm drinking. I'm going to drink myself into oblivion for the next week, and that's what I did. But this time, it was like, okay, what do I do next? And I just move forward. And like right now, so Derek had talked about this COVID thing has destroyed a lot of people's sobrieties. I don't see where your comment is exactly, but basically, oh, there it is. And many of your friends are drinking so much more now. The lockdown totally didn't help. And I hear you. I see the same thing. I'm wondering what happened to a lot of my friends that I used to see every day or every couple days or whatever. And I don't know where they are. And maybe they're drinking, maybe they're not. But it's the situations, we're just part of it. I mean, there's ways to go to look at life, a perspective. Okay, let's go over what's going on in where I live. So last weekend they had power shutdowns because we had a major heat wave. So they were shutting down people's houses. They said, we're going to shut you down from 1 to 2 hours. Most people were shut down for 7 to 8 hours. Okay, it had that. So then no air conditioning and all that. And it was I think we hit 106 on one of the days. But it was, around 100 degrees most of the time during the day. Then lightning came through. And right now, so today's not going to be as hot. It's only going to be like 90. And but there's fires are west of me, north of me, and east of me. There's fires everywhere. So you can't open your windows because of smoke. It smells like smoke outside. So we got that. Then we got COVID. We're supposed to stay inside anyways. And there's a lot of people that are having a really tough time. The way I approach this is each day I've been going outside, and actually for the past 3 months since the COVID started, I've been working on fireproofing the house outside. And that's what I do. I just continue to do that. Okay, there's fires in all 3 different sides of me. So I am getting the evacuation containers together in case that has to happen. The fires aren't very close, so should be all right. But you never know. I live across the street from open space. So you got to be ready. That's what I can do. That's what I do for my sobriety. I'm ready. I talk to other alcoholics. I prepare as far as there's things I don't do. Like I'm not going to go for my house. I'm not going to go outside and do anything that may like use a chainsaw that may spark. I'm not going to do that. And the air quality is bad. I'm not going to mow my lawn. Things like that. For alcoholism, I'm not going to go to the liquor store. I'm not going to go hang out at a bar. Stuff like that. It's a frame of mind, a way to approach things. I'm going to stay grateful for what I have. I still have my home. There's people that are within 30 miles of me that lost their house today. It's so tragic. A PG&E worker, the power people, one of them got killed today. This is tough stuff. But alcoholism too, and it's really our approach. And I'm just a person here, just trying to get by. I'm not special, but I can stay sober and move in the right direction. So there you go.
Absolutely. Someone was saying earlier that, they saw someone I know someone who has 35 years of sobriety and still needs a meeting often. I don't want to be that person. Please, God, forgive me. Well, I mean, you have to look at what kind of person you do want to be. Is it better that guy needs a meeting often, or would it be better if he just gave in to his drinking? I would venture to say it's probably better if he goes to the meetings often. If that's what he needs. And maybe he's going for other reasons. After 35 years, I'm sure he's built up a lot of sobriety muscles. He might be going for the social aspect, which a lot of us alcoholics do miss out on. I think that's a big problem, and I think that's a big issue that meetings do solve, is a social aspect. It gives you people that know what you're going through, someone you can talk to. Unfortunately, in our society, it's very easy and it's very supported to be fake and, embellish who you are and not show your weakness. But I find that, in meetings, you could share your weakness and most other people will chime in and say, yeah, I have that issue too. And I think it's good. So I would venture to say, instead of looking at who you don't want to be, look at who you do want to be. Who do you want to be? What do you want to be like? Do you want to go to a meeting every week? Do you never want to go to meetings? What is it you want to do? And then make a plan for what you're going to do. Baza says he's dealing with detox and withdrawal is really bad right now. Baza, I would say go to the doctor because detox can be deadly. I'm not a doctor. Terry's not a doctor. We're not addiction trained specialists or anything like that. And alcohol can be deadly. So always, if you're dealing with detox, no matter how much, because everybody's different, go get the help. Be honest. Say, hey, look, I drink a fifth a night or 2/5 a night or whatever it is, and tell them, hey, this is what I'm drinking. Because they'll give you the advice you want. And sometimes you got to let your pride go. I remember lying to doctors all the time because I'm like, what if they know I'm an alcoholic? Well, who cares? Do you think they really sit up at night thinking about their alcoholic patient? Probably not. They're probably going to say, here's a number of a rehab, and here's where to detox, and here's some stuff to take, and here's what you need to do. And I think we need to look at that and really focus on what do we want to be like, and what are we going to do to get there? How are we going to help? How are we going to structure our life?
Yeah. The guy that's going to meetings for 35 years, I know a lot of them, and a lot of them are my friends. And, that's what Marcus just had mentioned, is that the social aspect. And, when I quit drinking, I had to distance myself from my drinking friends. And a lot of them are back, but I don't go drinking with them anymore. So I don't really hang out with them. Some of them I do bike rides, hikes with, see them here and there, that sort of thing. But I don't, my friends are sober. Those are the people I go mostly that I go biking, hiking, doing things with. But now with COVID, obviously we can't do much. But the social aspect is huge. Also, even though meetings or talking with other sober alcoholics isn't talking to a professional therapist, at least you're able to bounce off ideas and off of somebody that can relate to what you're talking about. And they might be able to give you some answers that you can relate to, and that might help you because they may have been through the same thing and successfully navigated that situation. So the people that, yeah, I've seen the people with 35, 40 years, and whatever, and they're just grumpy and, oh man, and I'm like, I do not want that life. Definitely not. But really, it's a matter of perspective. And maybe I'm going to be that grumpy old man. I'm getting there right now. No. but, but, uh, but, I think it's about perspective, living in gratitude, trying to help people, and understanding that I don't have all the answers. That's a huge thing. So staying humble. But like Marcus said, I wouldn't look at what I don't want to be in the future, because I don't know what's going to happen in my future, and there may be something that there will be things that I don't foresee, and I'm going to have to deal with them however I can.
Absolutely. Trek says he's talking about if we ever went through an anger phase during sobriety. I think that was directed at you, Terry, if you want to take that one first.
I've had, sure, as far as a phase, like weeks or months on end where I was just angry and I snapped at people, I didn't. I was very fortunate when I got sober, and really part of what I was fortunate about was my when I guess you could call it a bottom. It was very, very low, and so when I finally woke up, figuratively and literally, I was very happy to be sober and through the detox, and so I was kind of on that pink cloud. But as through sobriety, I've had times where I snap, but now I'm able to step back, and one of my main tools is pausing when I'm pissed off or I'm doubtful, and that's a huge, huge tool to use. And that works for everything, as far as whether you're face to face with somebody that makes you angry, it's on social media, email, telephone, whatever. You can always take a step back. And that's what I do now. And I've learned the hard way. I went through a divorce basically by email. And when I would respond to, in the beginning, I would respond to the emails just all angry and stuff, and I was just like so regretful every time. And then what I started doing is I'd write the email in response, and I wouldn't send it. And every single time I'd wait till the next day. And every single time I'd change that email 100% to something that was a little bit nicer and more productive. And the divorce went through much more smoothly. And actually, we have a relationship now, as far as there's no animosity or anything, and we wish each other the best. And my ex-wife actually came over when my dog was passing away, because it was her dog too. And we were able to talk, and we're okay. Absolutely. But yeah, it's. Anger comes up, but it comes up in normal people's lives too, and many people just don't know how to deal with it. They deal with it with reaction rather than pausing and then responding to the situation. And that's what I try to do now, and I'm a lot more successful at it nowadays than I used to be. But it's always a work in progress.
And I would add also, in my sobriety, I've had little bouts of anger where I'm angry for like a week or whatever, just kind of like an angry. Now, it's kind of funny because I have a brother, and when my brother was in high school and stuff like that, he just hated life. He was not happy, and he would walk around just, I'm pissed off, dude. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I'm just pissed off. And he'd clench his fist and think that. And I realized throughout sobriety that anger is about one thing and one thing alone. It's about I'm not getting what I want. So it could be alcohol. I'm not getting alcohol. That's what I want. It could be making you angry. And once you understand this, that I'm just not getting what I want, you could do either one of two things. One, you could accept it as is. Okay, can't drink anymore. What's my life going to be like? All right, weigh the options. Look at it logically. The second thing you can do is choose not to be angry about it. Choose to want something different. And I realized when I was before sobriety, My life was all about things that I wanted, and our culture, our society programs us this way. I want a bigger car. I want a bigger house. I want more money. I want this person. My wife should be this way. My kids should be this way. My dad should talk to me this way. My mom should talk to me this way. This should be this way. And Buddha says that the root of all suffering is desire. And if you're suffering in the form of anger, it's because you're desiring something and you're not getting it, which is pretty much the same as like a 3-year-old having a tantrum because he can't get the lollipop he wants or whatever it is. And when we look at it that way, if we could just sit back and laugh and understand, sometimes I'm going to have feelings of anger. Doesn't mean I need to do anything about them. Doesn't mean I need to push them away. Doesn't mean I need to go off the hinge or whatever. And I find that irritability and anger is best solved by accepting that it's there. Accepting, hey, you know what? This is just something I'm going through right now, like a headache, right? You wouldn't get mad at yourself for having a headache. It's just a headache. You just get a headache. That's what happens. But with anger, we tend to look at it differently. And it's interesting because I actually found out early on I like Diet Coke. I think it tastes better than Coke. It's more refreshing. I like it. It's got a bunch of chemicals and shit in it that are not good for us. But I found out if I drink a lot of Diet Coke, it actually makes me angry sometimes. And what we don't realize, our society does not realize that a lot of the stuff that we go through, a lot of the emotions we have, are chemical. Like, people sit around and they're in coffee shops with Starbucks glasses this big, and they're shaking and they're saying, why am I anxious? It's like, because you have a 40-ounce cup of coffee. That's why you're anxious. And we don't separate it. And this goes to, like, you know, understanding the type of drunk we are. Drinkers like us, what are we like? Well, when we drink, it produces certain emotions and body chemical reactions in us. And it warps the way we think, and it warps the way we view the world. Someone in the comments was saying, you know, the future looks so bad. It's not promising. Everything looks bad. And I would suggest to you, there's something I heard about years ago. I think it was by Anton Wilson. Something Wilson. I don't remember his name. I'll look it up for you guys. And he talked about speaking in E prime. And E prime was the idea of speaking truth. So instead of the future looks bad, what if we said, according to my knowledge now, the future does not look as promising as I thought. And when you add that according to my knowledge now, what you're doing is you're reframing the way you think. Instead of I'm angry, or like my brother, I'm pissed off, dude, I'm just pissed off. What if we walked around and said, according to the certain feelings, bless you, according to the certain feelings in my body, it's producing a feeling of anger. That changes everything. Because I think part of the problem, and I'm not a doctor, I didn't go to school very long. I went to a little bit of school, not college, but I realized early on that a lot of the stuff is attained to assigning something to us. I am depressed, rather than right now, I'm currently feeling depressive feelings. That's what I'm feeling. Right? When we say I'm depressed, now we own it. It becomes part of us, and it's like a big weight on our back, right? Or I'm an alcoholic, and I'll always be an alcoholic. Or instead, I choose not to drink, and I don't think I'm ever going to drink again because I know the effects it does to me, and I don't like them. Right? When we change our framing and we change the way we look at things, everything changes. So instead of looking at it as I'm angry, I think the world's going to hell in a handbasket, right? Like, really think about that. Is it really going to hell in a handbasket? I don't think a handbasket would make it through hell. And I don't even think the world would fit in a handbasket. Yet we use these things like the stock market was a bloodbath. I don't think the stock market sells blood. I don't think that's what's going on. And we use these things, and we have an imaginary world in our mind. And we all know this as alcoholics. We create worlds in our mind that don't exist. We think things and feel things that aren't really real, and we attach ourselves to all this. But if we sit back and we remove the attachment, we say, I don't know what's going to happen. But I know today I'm not going to drink. I don't know what might happen with my business or my job or COVID or elections. Right now, it seems like it doesn't matter who you vote for, we lose. It's just like, okay, kind of out. But I look at it and I'm like, I believe in humanity. I believe we'll be okay. And if not, I'll deal with it. Deal with it. We'll survive. We'll make it through. And there's interesting stuff you can look at, the writings of Viktor Frankl, who was a guy who went through the Holocaust. Now, I'm a chicken shit. You put me through something like the Holocaust, I'm going to cave. I'm going to cave. I'm going to be like, whatever, I'll do what you guys want because I didn't eat for 4 hours. Right? That's the way I think. And you look at Viktor Frankl, and this dude, like, went through it. And he talks about how he went through it by changing his mindset and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And he brought himself through it by knowing that no matter what, they're not going to take my mind. They're not going to take my thoughts unless I let them. They're not going to take that. And even if stuff does change, I'm going to be okay. And I think that's very important to look at. We have a newcomer here. Let's see. I think it was
Kathy.
Kathy. Good to have you here, Kathy. And I lost her first comment. Do you have that one handy?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have it right in front of me, but Kathy said that she's 5 days sober and that she's at a real low point right now. And yes, Kathy, I'll bet you are. That's, first of all, I could never get 5 days. So 5 days is awesome. You should be very proud of yourself. That's incredible. I couldn't get 5 minutes. So that's great. And yeah, after 5 days, you're definitely feeling it. I hope you went to a doctor and that you've got some medical direction, that you're going in the right direction, because detox can be tough. But with that said, just keep doing what you're doing. Everybody's giving you lots of support here. They're saying 1 day at a time, and that it's at 5 days, it's 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time. And just stay sober today. That's the biggest thing. Absolutely. And that's what I had to do. When I finally did get that 5 days, that's what I had to concentrate on. It took me about a week to 2 weeks before I started to feel a little bit better. And that's the hard part about this, is getting through that detox. And at least it was for me. Some people, they have the cravings that keep going. I was a little bit luckier that they weren't too bad. But you're doing awesome. Keep Absolutely. It up, Kathy. That's great.
Another newcomer, Annette, says, I'm a complete shit show when I drink. Annette, welcome to the club. We're all a complete shit show when we drink. That's why we choose not to. She says, I'm a once a week drinker, binge drinker, blackout. Yeah, and that's very dangerous. And a lot of people think that, it's not that dangerous because it's just once a week. I mean, people go party once a week. I should be fine. But the chemicals do affect your body. And if you're drinking once a week, your mind never has a chance to recover from it. And slowly but surely, it will start to change your thoughts long term. And it's a hell of a job to change them back. You have to literally get sober and work to change them back. But I'll tell you, it is so worth it. It is so worth it. It's not even funny to be able to look at that and understand it. I would definitely say go to the doctor if you're detoxing, because, there could be issues there. And then, make a resolve. What are you going to do instead of drinking that 1 day a week? What are you going to do? There's lots of things you can do, productive, good things. Read, join a group, take up a new hobby, all kinds of things. Like I found in sobriety, I have like so much time on my hands. There's time to do anything. And so we look at that and don't belittle it by just saying, oh, it's just a once a week drinker. Hey, if it's causing negative consequences in your life and you keep doing it, that's the definition of an alcoholic, right? 1 drink, 10 drinks, 1,000 drinks every day, 1 day, only on Sundays, right? Alcoholic. So we got to look at that, and you got to look at your own life and start to understand, like, why am I doing this even though negative consequences happen in my life? And I remember for me, I was like, drink every day a little bit, get drunk once a week, and then all of a sudden it turned into being drunk 24/7, which sucks. And that's kind of what more alcohol does to you, is make you want more alcohol.
Yep. Balza, I know you've mentioned antabuse quite a bit. Now, I don't know about that drug personally. I know what it does. It makes you basically sick if you drink alcohol. I do know a lot of people that tried using it to quit, and they needed more than that. They needed to learn how to change their mind, because, as I said earlier, the alcoholism, it's a mental disease, and that abuse is just going to have you have a physical reaction to it. And then I think what their thought processes are on that abuse is that it'll eventually get to your head if you keep throwing up every time you drink, that it'll start to have you relate alcohol to that and being sick, and then you'll have a negative look on it. Maybe you'll quit. But I've definitely, I would suggest doing more than just that. That's for sure.
Annette has another follow-up. She says, I was thrown into detox on my 36th birthday by the cops on Saturday. Don't even remember being brought there. Yeah, and that's what alcohol does. It clogs your judgment, makes you do things you don't want to do, ruins lots of birthdays, not only yours, but birthdays of your loved ones as well. And I think it's time to give it a good hard look and say, what am I going to do to stay sober? And the funny thing about it is we look at it and we're like, I don't want to give up drinking. I didn't want to. That was the last thing I wanted to give up because that was the solution that helped. And nobody got it. Nobody understood that. My dad would look at me and say, just put it down, son. Just put it down. And people would tell me, just get sober, or you drink too much, or just try this, or just try that. And they didn't understand that it was like food. And literally, like if I had a choice between going and getting food or going and getting alcohol, I would have chose alcohol, even if I was hungry. I don't care. It's got calories. I'll drink enough of it. And, that's how I lived. And I was literally living on, 3,000 to 5,000 calories of alcohol a day and like one piece of chicken, and I barely ate. I would barely eat. And it was ruining me from the inside out. And it was terrible. Yeah. And, there is a better way. There is a better way to live without alcohol. There's a better way to live without being angry that we can't have alcohol. And that brings us to Bill. Bill says, hi, Marcus and Terry. I gave up alcohol 3 years ago, but I have some mood issues. It appears that I have hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar. Do you have any thoughts? Yes, I actually struggle with hypoglycemia as well. My blood sugar drops sometimes, and I had eating disorder as well, which kind of exacerbated that. And get your sugar right, first of all. Right? Go to the doctor, figure out what to do, what to eat to get your sugar right, because alcohol produces sugar in the body, which is like, having sugar. And so we don't feel the effects of other things. And again, we're not doctors, so go talk to your doctor if you want real, not half-assed stuff, right? But, it produces sugar. And when we get sober, we have a lack of that. And I found I was like a Coca-Cola hound when I got out of rehab. I was like, okay, I got to have Cokes and Pepsis and Dr. Peppers and candy. And I really, really craved it because I was missing out on the sugar I had. So I think that's important. Now, Terry, did you deal with blood sugar issues as well? And I do know blood sugar issues control the mood like crazy. That's why those Snickers commercials are out there, and that's why everyone relates to them.
Medically diagnosed, no. What I did do right after I got sober is I did go get a physical, and my glucose levels were fairly high still. But what I did notice myself was I was very hungry after I got sober, and I had the cravings. They just weren't terrible. And what people suggested is that drink fruit juice, if you're hungry, eat. I was all worried I'm going to get fat. I was already fat, but whatever. And they said worry about sobriety right now. Then start to change your diet slowly, whatever. But I did notice that I had those cravings for sugary foods, and I just went ahead and I didn't binge on them like crazy, but I did eat more than normal, and that seemed to be okay. My moods were I was, like I said earlier, I was still so happy that I was sober that I didn't really have any real bad anger issues or anything like that. So yeah, I was all right. The main thing was getting the alcohol out of my system. Now, when I was drinking, you know what? When I first got sober, I did still have slight dizzy spells. Like reach down to grab something and stand up and get a little bit dizzy. I had those, but the doctor said that there wasn't anything. It was okay. That just keep going in the direction I'm going, not drink. Those dizzy spells were a lot worse when I was drinking, definitely. And I had high blood pressure at that time. Don't have that anymore. And you know what I do now? After 6 years of sobriety, I've been eating super healthy, like real foods, nothing processed anymore. I still cheat here and there and go get a burger or whatever, but so I don't make it a huge deal. But for the most part, my daily meals are good, solid foods that without additives, not too much dairy, stuff like that. And I've noticed that it keeps my mood in a lot better plane. I don't have those highs and lows nearly as much. I don't have those stomach issues, like heartburn and things like that. And still drink too much coffee, but yeah, whatever. It's not killing me, I don't think. So,
Absolutely. And guys, if you do like our show and want to support what we're doing and actually get a full 30-day sobriety course type thing that we are working on for you, go over to talksober.com, click on the big yellow button. This will help support the show. We do have a lot of cost here, and right now we are running a negative. So if you do like what we're doing here, you want to support it and get some tips and stuff on how to get and stay sober, go to talksober.com, click on the big yellow button, fill out this little form. It'll make a little username and password for you, and you'll be able to log in and get the 30-day sobriety class, which is good because I actually wrote this 30 days course over the course of like 3 years. And I went through a lot of emotions and went through a lot of things, and I explained exactly what's going on. And we have a letter for each of the 30 days. You read the letter, you watch the video Terry put together, you listen to some audios, you fill out a worksheet, and it's a full-on thing designed, unlike other sobriety courses, which are just focused on like short-term, here's how to get sober now. This is focused on long-term changing the way you think. It's going to start to ignite and activate parts of your brain that you'll be like, wow, I didn't realize that was being controlled by this thought process. I didn't realize that there was an issue here. I didn't realize that we could look at this differently. And I think you'll start to understand and start to get the aha moments and epiphanies that Terry and I have had over the last 6 years, 12 years combined of being sober. And you can go over to talksober.com, click the big yellow button, and fill this out here, and you will join. Or if you just want to support the channel, if you're like, hey, Marcus and Terry, I like what you guys are doing, you can click on support our work, and you can actually do a one-time donation kind of deal. And what we'll do is no matter what you donate, we'll actually give you a call with me and Terry, right? So, hey, you donate $5, we'll get on the phone with you for 30 minutes or something. You donate 180, whatever. It'll be a call for whatever, just to see how that works. And we'll obviously cap it after we get a certain amount of calls because we can't do it all the time. But we'll give you like a sobriety jumpstart call if you do that, which I think would be really good. You can get on a Zoom call with Terry and I, and we'll help you guys get and stay sober. So if you're struggling, that'll definitely help you. And you can go to talksober.com, yellow button for the course. If you want to support us and get a call, go to support our work and sign up for that, and we'll reach out to you and have a private call with you and help you get and stay sober, which is pretty cool. Again, we're not trained addiction counselors or anything. We're just sharing our experience, strength, and hope of what has worked for us. So again, talksober.com, get signed up, help the channel out, get a call, get the course. Good stuff. Yeah, Derek, we could do a 30-minute call. Yep. Cool. You good with that, Terry? I didn't ask you about the call thing. I hope you're okay with it.
Let me check my schedule. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, cool. Cool. So if you guys like that, it would be a personal call. Just put in an amount. If you do $5, we're probably losing money on you. But, hey, if you need a call that bad and you only got $5, go for it. If you can do more because, we do have a lot of stuff to do. So, cool stuff. Cool. All right. Any other last-minute comments or questions standing out to you there?
Well, Narcissist, it is worth saving yourself, but you have to decide that too, man. It's everybody's got worth here. But you gotta want this sobriety, man. You can do it. And you've been coming to our things here, our YouTube shows here for quite a while, and really appreciate your comments. So come on, keep coming back.
Absolutely. Derek's going to sign up just to chat with us. So good. Look forward to
Right on.
talking to you. One mama says she's going to join. Awesome. Thanks for that. Joji says, can we donate for someone really struggling? Yes, but with a disclaimer. Yes, you can donate and have someone do the call with us, but you have to make sure they're willing to do the call. Like, I don't want you to do it and be like, hey, come talk to these guys and talk about whatever, right? It has to be someone really willing to come on the call. Okay? That's the only stipulation we ask. Like, they have to know what we're doing. They have to know it's a sobriety call. So it's not like an intervention kind of thing. We're just talking sobriety.
Yeah, because if somebody doesn't want to get sober, nothing we say is going to work. They're not going to hear it. And if they do want to get sober, pretty much we can say anything and they'll still want to get sober. I mean, that's the way it is.
Absolutely.
COVID Shetty, Terry, do you remember me? No. Sorry.
Someone says, I've seen some live streams where people can donate right on the live stream. We don't have that set up because of the nature of our channel. It's a little bit different. But if you do want to do the donation thing, just go through here. It's a completely secure thing. We use Stripe. So, I mean, you just go in there and do it. It's a third-party thing, so it's all handled by them. Stripe is like one of the biggest things, biggest payment processors out there. And you can go in. You could do the support our work, or you could do the recovery class. The recovery class is $27 a month, which is cheaper than a beer a day, like a cheap beer. Like, I'm talking real cheap. And you get the tools and stuff, and you'll know you're helping out what we're doing here. And then, of course, the donation if you want to do that and get a call. This is the first time we've done it, so I don't know how many will be available. So get that now, and we'll kind of evaluate as we go through it. But I'm actually looking forward to talking to you guys. We've had a few of these before, just as people have requested, and they're pretty cool. So awesome stuff. Let's see here. Yes, or you could just go here, and there's all kinds of free resources. You can get our upcoming live shows. You can get the letters. You can join our Facebook group and start talking to us there. But I would say, if you want a new way of thinking, the course is the way to go. So really cool. All right. Cool.
Right on. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Looks like the conversation's going in a little bit different direction now.
Okay. Awesome, guys. So hop over to talksober.com, choose your option. If you want to have a call with us, click on that support our work button. Again, right now, while supplies last, while our time lasts, we don't care what you donate. It could be $5, could be $500, could be, I don't know if you could do $7. I don't know. I think it's in intervals of 5, but you could do that. No matter which option you use, we will give you a free 30-minute call with us. And yeah, we'll get you guys rocking and rolling. Annette, last question I want to take from Annette, because this is a pretty pressing one. She says, the only times I felt suicidal is right after heavy drinking. Anyone else? Yes, absolutely. I felt that way. If you do ever feel that way, even if you're drinking, reach out to someone. Reach out to a helpline, reach out to the doctor, call the fire department, whatever it is. I had the fire department called on me. I had the cops called on me because I was suicidal several times. And I want to tell you, Annette, there's a better way around the corner.
Yes.
Drinking is causing a lot of problems. There's a better way. You just got to go after it. Get the help you need. Understand, hey, drinking is causing a lot of this stuff. Like, this is a lot of it. I thought that when I got sober, I was going to have a mountain of mental issues to fix. And I found out there wasn't, because that mountain of mental issues was drinking. Drinking warped my mind and made me think there was all this stuff going on, and it was really nothing. But if anyone is ever feeling thoughts of taking their own life or anything, reach out immediately, even if you don't think it's that bad. Get the help you need right away. And, we care about you guys. You're our friends and our fellow alcoholics, and we do this for you. And we want you to know that we care about you. We want you to do what you got to do to get and stay sober and live the life you found that you want. And I found out that the secret gift of sobriety is that the life I always wanted isn't the life that actually makes me happy. The life I have now actually makes me happy.
Yep.
I can wake up every day with far less than I ever had when I was drinking, with far worse things happening whenever I was drinking, and I'm still okay because I realized, you know what? I'm alive today. Like, I remember being in the pits of it, and I was like, there is no way out. I don't want to be here. And I would have missed out on 6.5 years of my kids, watching them grow up, and one of them graduated, the other's graduating this year, watching them and waking up to sunsets and sunrises, I think is what you wake up to, and watching sunsets and realizing that even when things are bad, I'm still okay because I'm sober, I'm alive, and I don't need to find external things to make me happy anymore. Things can't make me, stuff doesn't matter. What matters is I can be okay. I can sit and I can enjoy life and I can love and I can breathe. And I got to meet Terry, great guy. Right? When I was drinking, I wouldn't get him time of day. I know, because I was drinking and I went to rehab and I was like, I don't want to talk to this guy. Right? He wrote down a recipe because we like cooking. And I'm like, yeah, what does Terry know? I cook the best. And Terry's like a world-trained chef. So I was like, had my head up my butt. Now I found out he's like a heck of a guy. And I would have missed out on so many things. Right? And I'm sure Terry feels the same way. If you want to do a little monologue towards the end, feel free.
No, I'm good, man. You're all good too. Marcus is a great guy.
All right. Awesome, guys. So hop over to talksober.com. I look forward to speaking to you guys. Try that out. Do the support our work. Try out the calls. Let's see how it goes. Let's reach out. Let's talk to each other. Get the dialogue open, and let's make it happen. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. Subscribe. Click the bell. Hop over to talksober.com. Join up, and have a good week.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.